Good evening and welcome to the last of our Lenten series of the Thursday Talk, and this week looking at the Synod of Westminster. In 1829 there had been an Act of Parliament for the emancipation of Catholics. They were at last able to worship freely, pursue their vocations and careers, to vote and to hold office, but not yet able to attend the universities of Cambridge and Oxford. In 1850, Pope Pius IX restored the hierarchy in England and Wales and established dioceses throughout the country to replace the previous apostolic districts, which was how the country was organised during the penal times. And this actually caused shock in Protestant England. It was described as an act of papal aggression. And even Queen Victoria exclaimed, "Am I not still Queen of England?" It was one thing for Catholics to be allowed to practice their faith, but another for an organised, structured hierarchy to start building, educating and growing the Catholic Church in England. In 1852, the Archdiocese of Westminster held its first synod, convened by the Archbishop, Cardinal Nicholas Wiseman. It met in St Mary's College, Oxcott, and began on the 6th of July, the anniversary of the martyrdom of Thomas More, who as yet had not been beatified or canonised. Like all synods, it dealt with a lot of practical matters in the organisation of the diocese. And particularly, they had an emphasis on promoting devotion to the Blessed Sacrament and to devotions to Our Blessed Lady. And there were practical matters too, like the discipline of the clergy. And one of the decrees of the Synod of Westminster was that the clergy were forbidden to attend the theatre. It's a curious thing that obviously many years later they were not forbidden to attend the cinema, because of course the cinema hadn't been invented at the time of the Synod of Westminster, so technically it wasn't forbidden to go to the cinema. On the 13th of July, during the Synod, there was a Mass of the Holy Spirit, and a sermon was given by Father John Henry Newman of the Congregation of the Oratory. Father Newman had experienced for himself what being a Catholic in the 19th century England meant when he was put on trial for libel while defending the Catholic faith and was found guilty. He addressed the Synod. "My fathers and brothers, you have seen it on one side and some of us on another, but one and all of us can bear witness to the fact of the utter contempt into which Catholicism had fallen by the time we were born. You, alas, know it far better than I can know it." And he spoke to them of the courage that would be needed in building up the church again. He said, "And if it be God's blessed will, not saints alone, not doctors only, not preachers only shall be ours, but martyrs too shall reconsecrate the soil to God. We know not what is before us ere we win our own. We are engaged in a joyful work, but in proportion to God's grace is the fury of his enemies." Newman described how the Catholic Church, apparently destroyed at the Reformation, had come miraculously back to life. After the dead years of winter, there was now a second spring. He began his sermon with a text from the Song of Songs. "Arise, make haste, my love, my dove, my beautiful one, and come. For the winter is now past, the rain is over and gone, the flowers have appeared in our land." Although with characteristic humour, he did point out that it would be an English spring and was very likely to be stormy. And he finished his sermon with an invocation of our Blessed Lady. "Arise, Mary, and go forth in thy strength to that north country, which once was thine own, and take possession of a land which knows thee not. Arise, Mother of God, and with thy thrilling voice speak to those who labour with child and are in pain, till the babe of grace leaps within them. Shine on us, dear Lady, with thy bright countenance, like the sun in his strength. O Stella Matutina, O harbinger of peace, till our year is one perpetual May. From thy sweet eye, from thy pure smile, from thy majestic brow, let 10,000 influences rain down, not to confuse or overwhelm, but to persuade, to win over thine enemies. O Mary, my hope, O Mother undefiled, fulfill to us the promises of this spring." It's recorded that Cardinal Wiseman and others of the Synod Fathers were moved to tears by this sermon. And Newman's image there of Our Lady is one which is reflected in this church some years earlier than that synod, when our stained glass window was designed by Pugin. And it has exactly the same theme of Our Lady coming back to her own. Our Lady flanked by our English patrons, Thomas of Canterbury and George. It was a sentiment that was bubbling up throughout the whole country during these years. And it's one which we have been privileged to see come to fruition. Thank you for listening.